Hey guys, this is David Johnston. This is day 31 of PegNet, DeFi, and crypto talks that I've been doing. And today I really want to talk about PegNet 2.0. So in the last video in May, we covered sort of all the huge changes that are coming with PegNet 2.0. We covered everything from here are the values that are going to be implemented, how they've guided the design, where everything is done by the individual. There are no intermediaries. It should be universally accessible, et cetera, et cetera. And that was all great content, but a lot has changed. So buckle up. I'm going to try to go through all the major changes that have happened for PegNet 2.0 and what they mean for you as a user and when this is likely to get shipped. So without any further ado, I'm going to flip over to the PegNet 2.0 now fifth draft that the community has come up with. And first of all, I'll start by saying a lot of what I covered last time has now been broken out into an entirely different article. So in fact, there have been so many articles about issues related to PegNet 2.0, I've ended up breaking a lot of them into separate articles that are now linked in the PegNet 2.0 article. So if you scroll down, you'll see the core values of PegNet has been broken into another article. The explanation for how staking works, number 2. Basically talking about how we defend PegNet Oracle data, number 3. Bootstrapping liquidity, number 4. Solving granularity problem, number 5. Easy entry and exit to the PegNet, which is a really important subject, is now article number 6. Risk levels of P assets, which is an older article I included in there as well for context, is number 7. And then the idea of developer rewards in PegNet is number 8. So let's jump in. So what you'll find in the article, instead of a lot of the value-related stuff or the other related issues, is simply what the final implementation looks like. And you can go in depth into any one of those individual articles whenever you want. So if you scroll down to where it talks about features of PegNet 2.0, you'll really get into the meat of what's changing in this new version. So like we talked about last time, there's a miner reward and there's a staker reward. So specifically 5,000 peg for miners, 4,000 is set aside for the more advanced version of the mining algorithm. That's in PIP 14. 4,500 peg per block to P asset holders or stakers that are doing PIP 12, and 4,500 peg per block to peg stakers. And that's people doing the Oracle prices under PIP 13. And now there's a new category that you'll see is there's 2,000 peg set aside specifically for developers. And this is part of PIP 16. So let me just pause there and kind of address this, because this is a really important moment in the history of PegNet, because what we're acknowledging as a community is saying, okay, you can't just have oracles. We needed to see an incentive in the software for liquidity, for arbitrage, and other people brought up, but what about developers? If there's no block reward for developers, we're just going to get the spare time of people that have some peg, or we're going to have companies who end up hiring and directing those developers as opposed to really being directed by the community. So this is an important question because, okay, makes sense. You want a reward for developers so that we see more and more feature development in PegNet, but how do you still keep it decentralized? How do you avoid a foundation and a bunch of bureaucracy or a bunch of elections and votes? And so at the end of the day, and you can read the details in PIP 16, is I think the solution that's been come to is really good, which is this reward to developers ought to be individually directed. So let's say you're staking PEG and you're getting 2% of the PEG reward every block. Well, you'll be able to direct inside of your configuration file, inside of your software, hey, for the developer reward, I think the guy working on PegNet core development, or I think the guy working on the Explorer, the person that's maintaining the website at Factoshi or pTrader or whatever, right? Here's a list of addresses that should be rewarded as part of that dev reward. And so that person that's making that direction is allowing the protocol to send their portion or a proportionate amount to what they're staking to that developer. So think of the math very simply. If half of the peg stakers are directing to an address that's working on pip improvements, then 1,000 of the 2,000 peg per block would be sent to that address by the protocol. They didn't have to vote. They didn't have to convince anybody else. They felt that PegNet improvement proposals were important to get implemented and that half the reward ought to go to those folks. And it simply directs it to that address. And I think this is really powerful because it avoids, I think, a lot of the complexity and traps of on-chain governance, and instead replaces it with a very open system where people with different opinions can fund different initiatives based on how they feel and they think the priorities of the community ought to be. So that's going to be really cool to see roll out. So effectively, you'll now have 3 groups of people receiving the PEG reward each block. You'll have the miners, you'll have the stakers, and you'll have the developers. And effectively, you can see that 45% of the reward is set aside for miners, 45% of the reward is set aside for stakers, and 10% of the reward is set aside for developers. And it's been interesting talking to the miners, talking to people in the community. This has not been controversial. Everybody's on board that there needs to be a way to bring in top developers and incentivize them. And we've talked about this before, but you only get what you pay for. And when PegNet launched, it was only paying for oracles, and that's what it got. But we all learned that we needed to pay for liquidity and arbitrage. And here I think there's just a healthy recognition that you also have to pay for developers. And the way that you pay for them will dictate the future of the protocol. So I really like this fully open source, fully decentralized way of doing it. So anyway, that's been included now in the latest version of the PegNet paper. It's being coded up as PIP 16 right now. And yeah, so let's continue, go through the other changes in PegNet 2.0. You'll see number 6. Of course, there's still unlimited conversions from P asset to P asset. There's still unlimited conversions from PEG to P assets. But there's a new way that people are approaching conversions or the desire for people to turn P assets into PEG. Now, in PIP 10, originally it was proposing to make this unlimited, but there's been a lot of edge cases discussed by the community where effectively having unlimited or unpredictable supply of PEG would hurt mining and it would hurt staking, and it would potentially open attack vectors where the price of PEG falls too far, right, and causes an attack on the system. So instead of that approach, PIP 10 is still being added for the purpose of averaging and protecting the oracle prices. But the aspect of conversions from P assets into PEG is being removed in favor of having trading pairs where you can easily trade PUSD, let's say, into PEG. So instead of it happening inside the PegNet wallet, it happens through a trade on the exchange. Now, to make this easy, what's been proposed, and you'll see in the easy on-ramp and off-ramp paper for PegNet, is to do this in the wallets to make it really easy for users. So they push a button and want to convert value into the system. The wallet automatically looks and says, oh, here's cheap P assets. I'll grab those off the market and get the best value into the network for the user without them having to understand a bunch of complexity around PEG conversions and arbitrage and stuff like that. And the same when they're exiting the system. You know, the wallet can look at the market and say, oh, well, PUSD is going for more than $1. Great. I'll sell those PUSD directly on the market for Bitcoin or Ether. Or no, PUSD is under $1. I'm going to sell PUSD for PEG and then I can sell Peg for BTC or ETH. So having that logic built in to the wallet, I think is going to make this so much easier for the average user who doesn't want to have to go up that entire learning curve to just get the best execution, whether it's putting value into their PegNet wallet or taking value out of their PegNet wallet. So I think that's a good approach. Vinex, one of the exchanges, has already put up a PUSD to Peg pair. So that market is starting to find a price, and I'm sure we'll see more and more activity there as PegNet 2.0 gets closer. Continuing to move forward, there's now a really great visualization in the paper that shows exactly how this whole process works, where the asset prices are coming from, how they're reported by the miners and the stakers, how those reports then get filtered through the software looking for spikes or bad data or erroneous information, and then finally get published to the PegNet blocks on the Factoring protocol. So this visual is really helpful to kind of understand what's going on under the hood, and that's a lot of the rest of the pips. So you see number 9, detecting errors, number 10, the old 1% Oracle price band, that's getting removed. All of those Oracle-related things are all captured in that architecture. Now we've already talked about the on-ramp and the off-ramp. One thing I'm really excited about is there's a bunch of new P assets that are getting added as part of PegNet 2.0. So you've got additional fiat currencies, you've got a bunch of new cryptos being added. And I think it's going to be north of 53 P assets now in the system. So that's great to see. The markets have been doing really well, so there are more and more projects that qualify for more than $100 million of market cap and more than $5 million of daily trading volume. So projects like Hedera and Algorand and Neo and VeChain, all these groups now are way above those metrics, so they can be included in the PegNet. So I think that's a good summary of a lot of the major changes since we last talked. Where are the Peg rewards going? Who are they going to? What are the reasons and motivations for rewarding these different groups? And altogether, I just want to say it's been a pretty awesome process to go through and week by week create a new version of the paper based on all the community feedback, release that again, and get more feedback from the community. And it feels like we've gotten to a place where there's a lot of consensus, there's a lot of buy-in for the approach that's emerged. So anyway, I'll call it there. I'll let you guys read through the articles, see if you have any questions. Shoot me a message in the comments below if you want to dig into any particular aspect. And it looks like I've officially passed 100 subscribers. So thank you to the people that are watching and following along on this journey as PegNet develops and I go deeper into DeFi and sort of all the crypto subjects that I'm so passionate about. So thanks for being with me. Thanks for joining my channel. Feel free to subscribe, like the video. It helps it rise in the rankings on YouTube, so it gets shown more and more. And yeah, this has been a lot of fun. So let me know what you guys want me to cover next. There's all kinds of articles and related material here, but there's also so much going on in the rest of the ecosystem. The world is really crazy right now in political unrest, civil unrest, pandemic, all of that is still going on. And I want to recognize and speak to that, but I really believe what we're doing here with crypto and blockchain is the best way for people to be empowered, for people to achieve equality. It's not through reforming the state, it's through opting out and picking an alternative that can be fair and honest. So that's why I'm here. That's a big motivation for me, and I'm sure it's very close to your guys' hearts as well. So anyway, I'll call it there, but I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for everything. Wear a mask, be kind to one another, and crypto on. Take care, my friends. Bye.